What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Classic Octane. I am Taylor. So today we are taking a little bit of a break from the Land Rover project because I'm waiting for one or two parts to come in. I've already started filming part 2 of that Will It Run series, but the parts aren't here yet. So instead of jumping onto the Triumph, I decided to do a little bit of work to my Kawasaki because this is the bike that I actually ride. It's the only bike I have currently that's registered and insured and kind of ready to go out on the street. And since we are getting into really beautiful weather here in Texas, I wanted to address a couple of things so I can get back out on this bike. So if you're not familiar with this bike, this is my 78 KZ750. I built this bike on the channel, finished it coming up on a year ago, maybe like 8 months, something like that. I don't know, time's a blur right now, but I will link the entire playlist for this build down below. Just a few small things I want to address today, and then she'll be back out on the road. So overall, this bike has been riding incredible. I mean, not a single issue. The only thing I've done to it in the 8 months of me riding it is I did have to re-lube my clutch cable because it got really stiff, but just some lube in there and a 10-minute job and it was back up and running. I built a little cover for my ignition switch, and that's literally it. I haven't had to do anything else. Everything else seems to work perfectly. That being said, I am going to give it a full kind of once-over bolt check and everything while we have it up here on the lift, just to make sure nothing's worked its way loose, all the chain adjustment, all that kind of stuff is good to go. The main thing I want to address today is this taillight. So my problems with this taillight, there's actually a couple of them. One, it's not very bright. It's just a standard incandescent bulb, and on a bright Texas day, it's pretty hard to see, and for safety reasons, that's obviously not ideal. So I want to get a brighter one. 2, the mount doesn't work very well. It actually gets pretty loose after just a couple of hours of riding, and I've come back from a ride, my taillight's been like this, and that's obviously super unsafe because nobody can see your brake light, no matter how bright or dim it is, if it's facing towards the side of the bike. So I want to get rid of this mount, and then the third reason is, you can't see it, but I can show you guys, is the wires are just a little bit too short because I didn't want them to get into the tire, and what that did is it pulled them, and then over, a couple of 100 miles, the wire has worn its way through, and it actually cut through I think the tail light wire, so now the tail light doesn't even work, just the brake light works. So those are all the couple of reasons I need to redo and replace this tail light. So let me show you what we got for it. So this is the light I'm going to be using to replace it. I actually used this on my 7-day CB550 build. I also used this on a customer's, I believe it was the CB350 build we did a couple of months back, and I really like it. So this is a relatively cheap light. I think it's like 30 bucks on Amazon. I'll throw a link to it in the description. The biggest difference between the two is this is LED. So this is significantly brighter, has a big ring of LEDs around the outside as well as one in the center. It also has this kind of variable mounting, so I can mount this bottom part to the fender, and then I can set that angle. That way I can get rid of this weird kind of wedge shim thing I had to make before. So we'll get a brighter taillight, and it'll be a little bit cleaner as far as the mounting goes. So I'm excited about that. Let's go ahead and fire the bike up, and I want to show you guys how bright this taillight is so we can get a good before and after. Okay, key on. I can't show you how bright the taillight is because, like I said, that wire is worn through, but here's the brake light. Not super bright. So let's pull this seat off so we can get access to our wires, and we'll replace this thing. Seat is off and to the side, so now I can go through here and we'll cut these couple of zip ties, kind of securing some of our wires out of here. And yeah, I'm gonna kind of redo a lot of this just to make it a little bit better. Now that the wires are kind of out of the way, we can move on to the taillight itself. So part of the issue with this taillight is there's the main mounting section down here at the bottom, and then this top kind of bullet section is separate from it. It might actually be threaded in there, but so that means no matter how tight I have the mount, this can still work its way loose over time. So that's kind of a big design flaw for this thing. old tail light is probably going to be junk. I don't see any reason for me to keep this. This right down here is where the wire was kind of bent back, and that's what caused it to kind of break over time and end up shorting. That out of the way, let's mock up our new light. That looks pretty good. So we'll kind of need a few different mounting holes for this because we're going to want a hole through with a grommet for our wires, and then this mounts with 2 bolts through the bottom. Right now we just have one kind of central hole. So let me think about how we'd want to do that. Here's what I'm thinking for this tail light. So the main reason why this wire was at such a sharp angle before is because I was worried, you know, I do take this bike off-road occasionally. I was worried about this back tire getting up into the fender and actually hitting the light itself and kind of tearing the wires out completely. So what I'm thinking about doing is I kind of want to run this wire straight through the center here and on top of this little fender. That way it can go right into the wiring and it'll be on top of the fender, so it'll be safe from rocks and dirt and kind of stuff flying up. This center hole I can still use. I'll just have to use like a washer or 2. And then I can drill another hole right behind it for the second bolt. So we'll be able to bolt that on right there, set our angle, run this cable just straight through the center here into our stock wiring. Doesn't get much simpler than that. So let me mark where I should drill this secondary hole and then figure out how I want to clearance this little mount back here so that our wire can come through nice and clean, not get smashed. Right there. Okay, pulled this fender off. We have a nice little space back here to run our wire through. We'll feed them in. Yeah, perfect. Should be just like that. Cool. Go ahead and rebolt this fender back on. We'll bolt the light on, hook our wires up, and we'll see how much brighter it is. All done. Let's see how much brighter it is. Key on. So there's tail light, actually functional, which is already better than the old one. We'll go brake light. Seems a lot brighter to me. You guys know better than I do because you're back there, but looks good. Cool. For those of you that are curious of how the LED turn signals are doing, they've been great. Still nice and bright, nice and visible. I'm thinking about upgrading the ones on the front. Let me show you what I'm working with now. So these are the ones I'm working with now. And they're the same that are in the back. They're nice and bright from the side and pretty easily visible. They are even brighter in person than they look on camera right now. The problem is they face to the side. So I don't know, I'm torn of what to do. What I think I might try is there's some really small bullet lights that are from, I'm gonna murder it. It's like Kuryakin. It's some crazy K name, like KYU, I don't know. They're like 50, 60 bucks for a pair, but they seem to be really small and super, super bright. So I may, have this be the guinea pig, try those out, because I'd like to find a light that I'm very, very happy with, both build quality and brightness, and use that for a lot of customer builds coming up. So I'll probably be the guinea pig, buy a set of those. I'll let you guys know if I end up doing that. For now, I'm just going to give the bike a good once over. I want to make sure, the exhaust, the tire pressure is just, a general full maintenance check. And then we'll fire it up and take this thing for a ride. Bolt check done. It's been a couple of weeks since I started this thing. So let's see how the cold start does. With these carbs and pod filters, I've jetted it in a way that it runs really well, but to be completely honest with you, it is a little bit on the cranky side when it comes to cold starts. So, got our fuel on. Also, we'll see how the battery is doing too after sitting for a little while. My boots on and we'll go take this thing for a spin. Getting all strapped up. Let's see where my gloves at. Nothing like putting a leather jacket and jeans and gloves on and stuff when it's, 85 degrees outside, but I am not one of those guys that will ride without all of my gear. I live in Texas and legally you can ride without a helmet, but I would prefer my skin to be on my face and not on the concrete should I go down. So that's a pretty good looking bike right there. Alright, let's fire it up, see how she does. Stretch her legs a little bit. Fuel should still be on, shouldn't need a choke. Let it warm up for just a little bit. I've got a decent amount of gas, so we shouldn't have to stop, but I probably won't ride all that long. Alright, out here, cruising out towards the hill country. I just cannot get over how well this bike rides. It's so much fun. It's like the seating position super comfortable. It's reliable, at least it's proven to be so far. It can go a little bit off-road, which I haven't done a ton of yet. I'd like to when the the world gets a little bit more back to normal. I've talked about doing some moto camping and stuff with this. I was actually planning on doing the Vintage 1000, which is that 1,000 miles completely off-road. It's like 7 days off-road from North Carolina down to the coast and back up through Georgia, and it was going to be super fun. It's supposed to be next month, but obviously with everything going on in the world, that's not going to happen. So they do them a couple of times a year. I think they have another one in August, so I might still sign up for it and see if we can't really put this thing through its paces and do 1,000 miles. It's actually at 1,400 miles completely off-road. I need to bump my idle speed up a little bit. I'm also planning at some point on this ride, probably not too distant future, I'll need to switch to my reserve because I think my gas tank is just about empty. You know what, I'm just going to go ahead and do that so I don't have to have it die on me. I would have put gas in it before I left, but all of my gas tanks are empty at home, so. We're just heading to a little back road I really like. It's not too far. That's it's called Nameless Road. It's just a little 2-lane twisties. I've gone down it a few times on the channel and a couple of moto vlogs that I've done, so should look somewhat familiar to you guys. The only thing I don't like about it is this part right here is there's no official turn lane. So you have to kind of take it a little bit hot. Otherwise, it's like a 55 or 60 mile an hour speed limit road just to a right-hand turn with no turn lane. It's a little bit sketchy on a motorcycle. Just don't want anybody coming up too fast behind you. But we navigated it. So I hope you guys are doing all right during this crazy time we're living in right now. I've been doing all right. I've been kind of scraping by with the business, which is kind of to be expected, and I've been doing as much customer work as I can, but having to kind of turn down some just for obvious reasons of not really being able to come in direct contact with people and trying to keep my family safe and stuff. It's like, it's better to just kind of put some stuff on hold. Really hoping businesses and stuff can start to open back up. It starts to become a little bit safer to do so I can have the 5 or 6 different builds we have on hold right now in the shop, which will create obviously a bunch of work and revenue for me, but some interesting content for you guys, and should be pretty interesting. So I'm trying to find little jobs here and there like this that I can just knock out real quick, get the satisfaction of working on something, get back into the rhythm of being in the shop, and then of course come out here and spend some time in the wind, which is some of the best therapy there is. I do want to get back on the Triumph as well to get some content on that, because that's been pretty fun. And then I have some kind of weird little builds that I want to try and knock out over the next month. I'm just trying to manage still being able to make some money for the shop to pay bills, and then having some fun content and stuff for you guys to watch. So we'll keep building. I really do appreciate the people who have joined on to Patreon and bought shirts and stickers and that kind of stuff over the last month or two. That kind of stuff definitely helps, not only from a revenue standpoint, but just from getting me excited, knowing that this content is worthwhile, because people are enjoying it and having fun. So I pulled over to get some pictures. And man, I love this bike. I mean, I know I'm obviously fond of it because I built it, but it's so much better than I thought it was going to be when I first built it. That's why I've had such a hard time letting it go, and I don't think I will. I think I'm going to keep this one for a good while, just because it's a really, really good all-around rider. It's good power. I love a 750 twin. I think that's my favorite engine combination, at least in classic bikes so far, which might surprise you guys just because I build so many CB550s, but this twin 750's really, really got me falling in love. So I think that's what I'm going to call it on this one. I just wanted to put together this video to kind of show you a little bit about this bike, a little bit of an update, a quick little change of a tail light, not a big deal, a little moto vlog. So I have a similar video to this that I should put together for my Camaro, because I need to adjust the rear suspension on that thing a little bit. I'm getting some tire rubbing, so I want to adjust it and then take that thing for a ride and kind of give you guys a little update of the LS swap and stuff. So keep an eye out for that video soon. Appreciate you guys watching as always, and see you soon.